Welcome to Dr. Charles Speaks, a podcast for now. Dr. Charles is a nationally recognized Fortune 500 business leader, a former adjunct professor, speaker, and ministry founder. With over 30 years of exceptional performance in both business and ministry, he will share his profound approaches to developing successful leaders. Let's get motivated with Dr. Charles Speaks, inspiring excellence and generating results.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Charles. This podcast is a project that I've had on my heart to share with you for some time. Thank you for listening. I recently sat down for an exclusive interview on Game Changers with Lisa Faulkner. Lisa and I took some time to delve right into my background and some of my philosophies that I think will set a great stage for Dr. Charles Speaks. I want to share part one of that interview with you for our first podcast. I look forward to your comments and feedback here. Part two is available on the next Dr. Charles Speaks. Enjoy the podcast.
I want to dive right in with our guest today. So let me tell you a little bit about him. Our guest today is a nationally recognized Fortune 500 business leader and adjunct professor, speaker, and ministry founder with nearly 30 years of exceptional performance in both business and ministry. He has a profound approach to developing successful leaders. He is a passionate advocate for Christ and has found the distinct ability to balance faith and high-profile corporate settings. Imagine that. We are going to take a look at Dr. Charles Red's impression in business, civic engagement, and leadership during our time together today to really see how he has branded what others have come to understand as the Red Effect. With that, I will just say welcome to Game Changers with Lisa Faulkner, Dr. Red.
Well, certainly it's a pleasure to be here today as well. Thank you again.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, my pleasure.
Sincere pleasure to have you. Wow. Now just tell the viewing audience a little bit about your background, sir. You are, of course, let's start with your corporate background. That is still esteemed. You're still a corporate leader. Yes. I think you're with the Hershey's Corporation. Tell the viewing audience a little bit about your corporate background.
Well, upon graduating from undergrad from Detroit, Michigan, attended school at Western Michigan University in Kalamazoo, Michigan, I decided at that point that I would enter into the field of corporate America, having thought originally that I would be a school teacher, teaching at the high school level. But at that time, there wasn't a need for teachers, and so I went in the field of business administration and in communication. And my first job with corporate America was with what we call CPG company. That would be a consumer products good industry, where I've always been around great tasting food and snacks, and had the opportunity to serve well in these various opportunities in Fortune 500 companies, being a part of the management team as well as training and development. And then on the side, having some opportunities to go back and reach some of the students at the junior college level and university level to teach subjects like introduction to salesmanship and to marketing. All of those kind of things was just a great joy. So it's been a great ride, some over 30 years of experience in interfacing with leaders and future leaders and being a part of something special.
Excellent. Now, what's the real niche inside of the branding, or what's your role in leadership? First, let's start there inside of a corporation like Hershey's or those 500 Fortune 500 companies like Hershey's. What kind of role in leadership do you play?
Well, the introductory position into the area of corporate America, and particularly into retail sales, you have to get down in the trenches there and work at store level and what we call today as a retail sales representative. And this is an opportunity to give you exposure to the products, the brand, learning how to actually sell. And in the game of selling, it's always answering the question each and every day, why? And we provide the answers with facts, and we build relationships. So I started off in being in a situation where I'm honing in on skill sets to overcome objections on almost a daily basis. And so once you have had about 1,500 or 2,000 sales opportunities where you're interfacing with key decision makers, you begin to expand your experience and your role, in which I did, and I entered into management. So now we're going to take the success that I was able to do as an individual and begin to pour that information into others to make them better. And so I've been in the management role for several years, where you're building a team, and at the end of the day, it really is all about sales and doing it in a way that you're increasing sales and you're being profitable about it, and that you're growing market share. So this has been what I've done in my career, and that is drive for the results, because as one of our founders have said, nothing happens until somebody sells something. And so it begins with sales, and then as you get into leadership role, it's all about making others around you better, and to pour into them the various experiences and the various things that I've learned throughout the years that I feel that would make a difference, and it has made a difference in many of the folks that I have encountered throughout my career.
Wow, that's it. That's two very unique and very pivotal things: driving sales and making others better.
Yes.
Now, the driving sales is what is very key. And how do you do that at such a top key organization like Hershey's? Because with how do they stand out among the pack and become age old like they are? How do you keep turning a brand like that to become such a brand to stand out? After all, how many times can you remake yourself?
Well, this particular company, the Hershey Company, I had the great pleasure working for them for the past 11 years, and I would say they've been around over 100 years, and everyone can relate to the trademark. This is a brand, who hasn't heard of Hershey? And a lot of times I'm working at retail or with customers and run into various consumers, and they always ask about the Hershey Park. They always ask about the city of Hershey and things of that nature, and so it brings smiles to people's faces. And so when you have a great product and a great brand, then what comes along with that, what makes all the difference, is great people. And when you put those two together, you have a great company. And so in my experiences in becoming a sales expert or helping others to become a sales expert, we have the brand, we have the company. Now it becomes of learning the facts about why we have great products and what do they do and how do they appeal, and giving them the consumer insights along with the facts in terms of what is winning and what is going to be the best seller for that particular customer, that's going to give them the biggest results that they are looking for. And so as you become an expert at that, no, it doesn't necessarily mean no in our business. It just simply means not yet. And so in that type of setting, you have people that have the competitiveness to win at all, not at all costs, but to win with the objective of a win-win situation, whether it's the customer winning and being satisfied with the things that we're able to serve, as well as the company to win in terms of delivering on the deliverables that we have been charged to do.
Your team, sir. How do you make a happy team or a satisfied team? I don't know that everybody gets excited about coming to work or a team gets happy about working, but what is it that your team takes away that is different about working for Charles Red or Dr. Red that is different from your team than any other team?
Yeah. I think the biggest deal for me in terms of my transformation and becoming a better leader, I learned from the past when I first entered into a managerial role. I was all about results. It was basically the highway, my way or the highway kind of syndrome, and that doesn't always work, because then you managing by fear may give you temporary responses and results, but long term it doesn't do anything good for you. And during that time, it was moving up the corporate ladder. You spend a couple of years in one position, you go to another position. But as I've kind of settled into my career, I learned that it is more about the people, and that the role I play is not so much as being a manager, but being a servant leader and serving the people. It's all about the people. And when you're able to identify the strengths that the people bring to the table, and you're able to help them see the potential that they have inside of them and bring that forth, then it makes for a well-rounded team. I have a saying in my business. We say when we focus, we win. When you focus, you win. But when we all focus, we all win. And this is the mindset now, and working together more in a collaboration, more in gaining additional insights from all of the people that bring value and to bring the answers that perhaps you don't know. As a manager, I don't know all of the answers, but what I've realized is that I must stay relevant in the changing times of the day. And in doing that, I must tap into the experiences, whether it's from someone who is recently entering into the corporate scene or someone who's been there for 30 years.
Yes.
We both have something to say of relevancy that can make a difference in getting us to the overall common goal and objective, and that is winning each and every day.
Yes. Two more very important points I heard. Servant leadership and all genres, all areas, all age groups are important. The new, the millennials, the middle, the all age groups are important.
Yes.
We all have something to contribute. But let's talk a little bit about the servant leadership aspect. How do you introduce the Christian aspect into your work? We talked about that a little bit in your bio. Can that be a conflict of interest? I know you don't have to outright spell out the scriptures, but how do you do that? How do you serve in your work?
I take the same principle, from a Christian perspective. It's all about being a servant first, and it's not about me, it's what I can do for others. We know the golden rule that, we're going to love the Lord our God with all of our heart, mind, and soul, but then also we're to love our neighbors. So it's not about trying to get over and to use people to reach a common goal and objective. It's about really serving where you're at and what is it that you can do to make people better. So I have a heart passion for turning, from a Christian perspective, disciples into disciplers. When you transfer that same mindset into corporate America, it's training the trainers. So then the people become a trainer. And so the servanthood or the mindset of, from a Christian perspective, if I do right about you, if I really focus in on you and serve you, then my faith and my God who I serve will take care of me ultimately in delivering me to where I need to be and where I need to serve. So the transfer over into corporate is the same thing. I view all of my people as customers, no different than you would in a restaurant where you want to serve and have great service inside of a restaurant, so that people would say, that's great food, that's great service, you ought to go and check them out. So from my perspective is, whether you work for me or whether we work alongside or whether I report to you, what can I do to serve you that you are going forth and putting my name out in a good light, that there's good service when you encounter an experience with me. It makes all the difference, and it's transferable, because then people pick up and they begin to mimic what you do, and serving them, they serve you. And not only that, your name goes before you, your reputation goes before you, your gifts make way for you.
That is good. That is good. We are going to take a really quick break here, but that is a good spot to take a break. Please stay with us. We have Dr. Charles Redd. He is talking to us about several dynamic things that can take you throughout your career. We just stopped down on transformational servant leadership. That's where you want to be, and we'll be right back. Do you need someone with solid, expert communications experience to write your copy or your next press release? Then you need PennStar Communications. Let PennStar communicate your greatest potential with clear copy written for your business and marketing needs. Whether it's your next event or next campaign, PennStar Communications can write that for you. Visit pennstar.org or call 404-828-0287 today. Well, we are back with Dr. Charles Redd, and we spent the first segment talking about his illustrious career, illustrious to some, but you will find, if you were listening, this is just a very practical, very straightforward gentleman who has honed his skills in corporate America, who has spent his time building people, building himself, building his career, and just crafting what many have come to know as just a very reputable career for himself and helping others. I want to talk about what it has taken to build this career, Dr. Red. It appears to me it has taken education, of course, and a lot of time on training in corporate America, but it also appears to me that we are in an era now in America. I was thinking era in America, where there are just a lot of entrepreneurs. You can even get degrees now in entrepreneurship, and that's great. I think entrepreneurs are blossoming. You can learn so much online now. You have so many degrees. You have a Bachelor of Science in Communications and Business Administration. You have a Master's in Religious Studies. You have a Master's in Management and Supervision, a doctorate in Ministry and Transformational Leadership, and then, of course, you went through the ranks. Talk to us about why education and the traditional path through education and corporate training may be important versus just straight into entrepreneurship. How do you see those two balancing out, or how can we marry those two?
Education was instilled in my family from the beginning. I was the youngest of four, and so I had three sisters ahead of me, and they were smarter than me, and my family was quite concerned whether or not I would make it through school, but they encouraged me, and they excelled. So when one would graduate, and it was mandated for me, I was going to graduate from college, and then they went to grad school, and they went on to earn their doctorate. So all of my siblings have doctorate degrees. So that was instilled upon us early. But what I've learned is that that's just only a key to help you get into conversation, to help you get into the room, so to speak. But it's not the end all. Education is continuously. We must continue to learn and grow. In our business, we always say, look, we continue to be among the best at what you do. Continue to have the mindset of continuous learning and growing, and then be flexible in terms of taking on new activities, new learnings, going to different places and getting that exposure. It comes down to relationships, because as we build relationships along the way, no one has all of the answers, but if you ask the questions and you get in front of people who can help you, then there should be some exchange. And so those that are going into business and want to be an entrepreneur, education is a lifelong journey. You don't want to ever become a couch potato and sit down and watch the TV all day long. You want to continue to learn and continue to grow and challenge yourselves. And then when you get around people, you're able to make those deposits in them and hopefully to inspire them to go further along what it is that they desire to do. Everything and every situation, there's a price to be paid. You look at the athletes today, you look at the entertainers today, they put in the work. And you look around the arenas, you see people wearing their jerseys, and people are excited to follow those various people. And that's a good thing. That's great. But each and every one of us has something too. We're put on this earth with a purpose. We're put on this earth to make a contribution and to leave a legacy here. And in able to do that, we must identify what it is that we are good at and put the time in. It kind of reminds me of looking out the window and seeing all the kids play while I'm inside doing the homework. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, you're glad that you did the homework because it would allow you to be where you are today. Yes. And so I would encourage those that are listening, those that are aspiring to be great, is to take that which you know that you're good at and to spend the time in it. What did we see? Tiger Woods at 5 years old, learning to play golf and playing it each and every day, had a great mentor, and became one of the best golfers ever in history. And so you too, all of us, we have something that we can offer. And if we give it the time, it will make all the difference, whether you're working in corporate America or whether you're working for yourself. But you're still going to need that same drive, and you're still going to need to pay the bills and deliver.
That is so true.
Yes.
That is so true. What has been some of your greatest life lessons, or some tenets you follow? You talked about your family. You knew that you had to follow in those paths, but what are been some of your greatest life lessons?
When I think about my own life, it's not a perfect life, to say the least, but what I've learned is two things, and one is never, 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 ever give up, and always continue to strive for excellency. The other thing is all the mistakes that I've made in my life, is I've realized late in life that it's not the mistakes that I'm going to be judged by, but it's how I've overcome those mistakes, what people are going to judge me by. And so I learn each and every day. I feel that I'm transparent and enough personable where people can really see the passion and sincerity at heart that I have their best interest in mind when I'm trying to help and develop someone to become better than they ever thought they could be.
Not the mistakes that you've made in life, but how you have overcome the mistakes. I think that's very important. Yeah. That's very good to grow on, because we're all going to make those mistakes.
Absolutely.
Aren't we? But how we get up at the end of the day and make a difference the next day, or how we continue to get up, how we fail forward, I think is the idea.
Yes. Yeah, the word that comes to mind is, when people look at the various mistakes that we make in life, you want to add the but. Yeah, but look at them now, what they learned. They did a 360 and made a complete turnaround. And that's what I strive to do. I'm going to write a book one of these days about these mistakes and how I've overcome them. But I did learn something along the way. I have some of the scars to show. I'll show them to you later.
Well, how do you spend your time these days beyond Hershey's? You are a leader among leaders. Tell us what else is going on.
Well, the corporate scene is what pays the bills, and it does a great job. I've done a great run there, and I expect at some point to make a transition into full-time motivational speaker, teacher, and do that just about all the time and any time. So I look at my career as really coming up the size of a triangle. Corporate America on one side of that triangle, and this public relations and public speaking and motivation on the other side. And it's coming to a point because they all come together. And at the base of all of that is my Christian foundation and the things that I've been able to do in the church community and making others better. It's the best is yet to come. And the second half of life is really going to be exciting. It'll be even greater than the first half. So much I've learned and so much I have to offer, I feel, that's going to make a difference in this world today.
If you could have dinner with anyone, who would be your past, present, or guest that you would have dinner with?
Ooh, boy, there's so many great leaders. When I think about the person of leadership, certainly Martin Luther King would come to mind. That would be one of the first. And then being among the time that we live in, where we have the first black American president, certainly wouldn't mind sitting down and having a chat with him as well. And
I can see why you say those two. They parallel each other a lot.
Yes. So there's just so many great leaders we have, but we need a lot of that greatness to come back again and manifest itself, because our young generation are seeing mixed messages now, in my opinion, and we can be the repairers of the breach along life's highway. Those potholes, we can fill them and help make it smoother for those that come behind us. But right now there's so many mixed messages that we can bring some positiveness and some hope and continue to serve where we're at. Be the best that I can be where I'm at.
Yes, I love that
it'll
message.
make a difference.
I said that Obama and Martin Luther King Jr. parallel each other a lot, and I believe that maybe President Obama could have made some of the same strides as Martin Luther King Jr. did if there were more champions of support on the local level as Martin Luther King had during his time. But talk a little bit more about those mixed messages that you believe our youth are receiving. What do you mean exactly exactly by that?
Yeah, that's a good question. And it comes back to the word character. And I remember an older lady told me, character, and the actor that we are. And it begins in the heart. So there's a heart change, and the heart is a very central of our personality and who we really are. And so the things that we knew and that were taught to us, we see that some of that has gone out of the window. You know, you wouldn't think about lying when you were a kid. You paid a price. You wouldn't think about stealing. You would go to jail. You wouldn't think about spitting in front of a church because of the sacredness of the church. You wouldn't think about putting your hand on the Bible and swearing to tell the truth, the whole truth, so help you God, and then turn around and tell a lie. So we're seeing these messages of things that we've learned in our generation, the baby boomers and perhaps other generations that come along, but we have an opportunity to go back to some of the key principles in, treating people as we would want to be treated. Being the stand-up person who leads by example versus getting one up on someone. So it's so important that we begin with the heart, we begin with character, we begin with actions, and we also got to be at a time like this be transparent, because we're scrutinized so heavily and with everything, everybody knows everything about everybody. So really the facade must come down and we must be who we are, but in great good taste as well.
I don't want to stop you. I have dug into an area that I believe is very important to us as people, to us as followers of this show, as game changers. We have to know and believe in something or we'll fall for anything. We're going to close this show, but we're going to come back with Dr. Charles Redd on the next show just to kind of dig in a little bit deeper on the great principles and tenets of belief that this man carries with him. So please stay with us and tune in for the next show for part 2 with Dr. Charles Redd. Until then, do your very best.
Thank you for listening to Dr. Charles Speaks. Visit drcharlesredd.com for booking info for your ministry, business, or leadership team. Get info about the Red Line, a 15-minute corporate success call each Monday morning with Dr. Charles. Follow Dr. Charles on all social media at Dr. Charles Redd. Subscribe to the podcast here for every episode of Dr. Charles Speaks. Thanks for joining us. Like Dr. Charles always says, no matter what, never, never, never give up. Until next time.